What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of V4 Attack on Titan, the final season. This is, what episode are we on? Episode 9. With me, as always, I have Bluespade.
So, technically, this episode does take place after the last one. However, we start off with Armin just recounting the events that happened, I think, 3 years prior. So, he's sitting down, talking to someone. We don't really get to see who it is until the end of the episode, but of course he's holding on to that very same seashell that he's held on to since the end of season 3.
Yeah,
and like I said, he pretty much recounts the events of how it started before they went to Marley for their invasion. So what happened was we find out what happened to the survey ships that were taken out earlier. Turns out that the survey ship was led by, I forgot. It was one of Zeke's subordinates.
Yelena?
I forgot. Yelena, yeah. So Eren, of course, pretty much carries the the entire boat over to shore, and then pretty much all the scouts end up taking every single Marleyan hostage until Yelena comes in and then shoots I'm pretty sure that was the captain of the boat, and pretty much what happens from there, they of course Yelena's group ends up committing a coup, and then just starts cooperating with the Survey Corps, and by pretty much giving them details of all their weaponry, all of their information on their fleet, the information of that Marley is at war with many different countries at the time, of their discussion. So there was a lot of things that happened I think 3 years prior.
Yeah, we see that pretty much Yelena and her group are responsible for communicating with the Eldians on the island, as well as providing them with weapons like guns, or the guns that they use at least.
And of course there was another scene in which we're introduced to another Marleyan who's I think his name is Niccolo.
Yeah.
He's actually the chef of the group. So he's he basically just cooks for pretty much everyone else, including Sasha's group. So which we get to see pretty much, I would say, fittingly for the last time, which is kind of sad. Because pretty much Niccolo cooks all this new food that they've never tried before, including lobster, which Sasha just pretty much gouges down immediately, left and right. And then of course shortly afterwards we do transition back into the present day, where we see Sasha's funeral, and of course what was it Niccolo tries to attend the funeral, but he gets kicked down by one of the military police force, which accuses him for being practically responsible for Sasha's death. I mean, technically he's not the one who killed her. He's just he just had a close relationship with her, for being, I guess,
it's just because he's a Marleyan, and that's the only reason why he's being, I guess, blamed for it.
Yeah, and of course the rest of Sasha's family attends her funeral, and then of course Niccolo steps in and then pretty much offers them to offers to cook them food, some I think maybe later, or maybe just I don't know, being a personal cook.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. He basically just seems like he's offering to cook for them whenever, and of course, her father asks if it's on the house, and he says, of course it is.
Yeah. I mean, I really wish we could learn more about what Niccolo's relationship is with Sasha in particular, and because we never get to see what happens during the entirety of the 3 years that he's been on that island.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe this episode and possibly somewhat of the next episode we'll get to see a little bit more of that flashback. But yeah, it seems like this episode we get a glimpse into what happened, but I feel there's still some things I wish they would have shown more those character relationships. So it actually hits harder when you find out either that one character or find out found out that she died, because as he's a character that we just get introduced to in this episode, and I mean, like, it's kind of like, I mean, it's obviously Sasha is a character we all know, and so it, but it's kind of hard to see that from his perspective because we don't really, like you said, we don't really get a good sense of their relationship aside from the fact that he just cooked for her, and that's pretty much it. I felt worse for Connie because, like Connie said, like I felt like I lost a part of myself.
Yeah. I mean, I really wish we could have seen a little bit more of that. But however, like much of the plot was pretty much covering up the planning of the attack on Marley. So like we do get some more flashback scenes of like of a military meeting along with what was it? Krista
Historia
is also in there, or Historia? Yeah,
it's Historia, Commander Pixis, and some of the other, I guess, some of the other people involved in the government were meeting about the attack on Marley, and of course, this is when Aaron reveals his connection or how he reacts, I guess, to someone with royal blood, bringing up that instance in the finale of season 2 where he made contact with his other mother, Dina Fritz.
Yeah, which is the reason why he was able to unlock his founding Titan ability. And Levi asked, like, why didn't he bring this information up before? And Levi did this intentionally because he wasn't sure at the time, because he was worried that Historia might be used to be turned into a Titan and I guess take the founding Titan power or something. I don't know the full details.
Yeah, supposedly Aaron was doing it to protect her, I guess.
But yeah, and this of course leads into another meeting between. Well, there was like a scene with Aaron, Armin, and Mikasa training with the rifles, and of course, like they're still like debating of like what they need to do in terms of like going after Marley or trying to protect themselves. We
kind of missed the part too because this is actually a follow up on something that was brought up in the scene before this, where Aaron brings up the rumbling, which is releasing all the colossal titans from the walls. And they this scene is more like a follow up to that, where Aaron pretty much like Armin wonders if there isn't another like an alternative to the rumbling, and Aaron is like, well, he also wonders that, and he also wonders if it's, not all, of course, says not all Marleyans are bad, but Aaron brings up, how many Marleyans are actually good, as opposed to all the ones that want to wipe out the Eldians. And I mean, it's a good point because, a lot of them have, and it's not necessarily their own fault either because, of course, brainwashing, but, that is pretty, but of course Armin also counters with, well, if we had enough time to get to know each other, maybe we would come to like some kind of an understanding, but Aaron's like, well, we pretty much says we don't have that kind of time, like, or the only thing that would buy that kind of time is an event like the rumbling, where that would be the only way in which they could come to any sort of an understanding, and Armin doesn't really know of any alternative to that plan, at least in that scene. So it pretty much is foreshadowing this event of the rumbling, which of course from what I've heard about the manga, I know it's something that is going to happen. But yeah, that seems like they have been doing that for a while since the season started, is foreshadowing that event.
Yeah, and of course, like in terms of the other Marleyans, we find out that Yelena was not technically a full Marleyan. She pretty much her country got taken over by Marley, and she was pretty much inducted into the Marleyan army. So she was pretty much taken in there against her own free will, and she partially like explains the reasons why she follows Zeke in the first place, because she sees him as like a god of some sort, which is just kind of weird in my opinion. But we do get to see more scenes with Yelena, like after the events of the last episode, in which they come back with like dozens and dozens of vials of like of the formula that turns people into pure titans. And of course, like many of like I guess the military police surrounding that meeting are like pointing their guns at the Marleyans because they still don't. Well, they still don't trust them, even after 3 years they've been on that island, cooperating.
Something else that they point out is the reason why Marley hasn't like tried to assault Paradise Island is due to the pure Titans on the island. But then they also bring up the aerial assault too, is because they have planes. But I forget the reason why they don't use those. They said, of course, a ground assault is impossible, but it would seem like an aerial assault would be a possibility. But I guess there must be a reason why they can't do it.
Well, Yelena does give out the reason. Like I mentioned before, that Marley was at the time of their meeting.
Because
like,
they're involved in
at
other
war
conflicts, basically.
Yeah, because they didn't have the time or resources to go back to Paradise Island to make that assault. So like they, even if they weren't in conflict with all the other countries, and maybe they would have like gone after Paradise Island. But like I said, like Yelena said, they didn't have the resources at the time to take such a venture.
Yeah. But there is also another character we forgot to mention is I cannot pronounce his name. Onyo Capone, who is like, I'm supposing, of African descent, and they must have he must have been enlisted into the Marleyan army after, I guess, they invaded Africa potentially. If that's where he came from. Because as we know, there actually isn't any black people in. At least so far, as far as I know, in the series. So he's like, of course, I think one of the characters, I think it was Sasha. I think she like asks why he has dark skin, and Onya Capone basically explains
I thought it was
somebody else.
I thought it was either Connie or maybe Armin.
I think it might have been Connie. But yeah, like he basically explains that it's because God created. What do you say? Like, people.
God created people.
Yes.
Like that sort of thing.
I just thought it was like interesting that they bring that part. That they actually bring that up, but it is something that I'm pretty sure the audience was wondering about too, because, like I said, we haven't really seen anybody else that looks like him in the series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but obviously we know that Africa exists in the world. It's just probably named something different.
Well, yeah, just a version of Africa, like in their world, like similar to like how Mikas's people, like like the
because they do mention in season
Asian
1
people.
actually that the Asians were like more or less extinct or something. There's not many of them left. So
yeah. But of course that wasn't true. Like based on because it was based on the opinions of like the thieves that were attempting to take Mikas's family hostage. So like they had no knowledge of like anything outside the wall. So I mean of course, like we do get the delegates of like of that Asian country like in a couple episodes. So
Hizuru.
But yeah, Hizuru. Yeah. I'm pretty sure like we haven't seen the last of her because if we remember, like she left the festival before Eren made his move to attack Willie Tiber.
Yeah, I have a feeling she's going to become an important character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but of course, I think pretty much like that. Well, yeah, we also get to see more scenes with Zeke Yeager, like back on the island, and of course, like there's still some tension between him and Levi still doesn't trust him. Like like I mean, you can't blame him after like what Zeke did to pretty much the entirety of the Survey Corps in the last season.
Yeah, supposedly Zeke has some sort of a plan, but we don't know what the plan is. But we don't really know how long he's been like, technically a traitor to Marley either. So, but I mean, apparently he is, and he has some kind of plan to go against Marley, I guess. And that's the only reason why they're, and at least have a temporary alliance with him.
Yeah. And he's also eager to wanting to talk to Eren.
I would be really interested to see that, like how that would play out. To be honest, I kind of was hoping that would happen, but I didn't think it would, just because they probably want to keep a close eye on Zeke. But because Levi says like, we have a hotel ready for you, and they end up taking Zeke out into like the forest and just basically just leaving him there. I guess they just want Zeke to literally just live in the forest.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I was thinking they were going to take him
that's
to a
just
cell or something, like they were going to just put him in a jail cell, but it's actually a little bit worse, honestly.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I think I think it pretty much goes down to Levi having so much animosity towards Zeke after what what he did last season. But yeah, but we also get to see like Gabi and Falco again, and of course they're like they're in a prison cell, and Gabi's still thinking about her vendetta going after Eren, maybe sometime later, but that's all we get to see of them. And so we go back to Armin from the beginning of the episode, recounting the events of of everything that happened, and we finally get to see who he was talking to is, of course, Annie, still in that crystallized prison, whatever she put herself in. Yeah. And this is the first time we've ever seen her since the end of the first season.
Yeah, I mean, I knew she was going to show up again, but yeah, like it's the first time we saw her since the first season, and I'm hoping that I'm pretty sure she won't by the end of this season, this part of the final season at least, but which I'm pretty sure they will make more. But if for the rest of the the final season, I'm just waiting for her to actually show up again and get out of the crystal, because she's been in the crystal since the first season, like the end of the first season.
Yeah, and of course the fact that she's still physically like the female Titan. So there's gonna have there has to be a role for her to play later down.
I will give a slight spoiler. It's not a big one, but apparently when Annie is inside the crystal, she can't actually hear what Armin is saying. But she can't. Obviously, she can't say anything, but she can hear everything that goes on. Which was interesting. I kind of was under the assumption that she was just basically paralyzed and couldn't hear anything, but apparently she can, because they based on a scene that I saw from the manga that happens later. So that's because she knows that Armin is basically, because this is actually something that I guess will be a recurring thing in at least in this season too, because Armin at this point in time would regularly come to talk to Annie in the crystal about different things. So I guess we can expect maybe that to happen again too. But I actually like how this played out in the anime, because for people who are anime only, they'll probably be a little bit confused as to who we might be talking to, if he's just like talking. Like, I mean, I think a lot of people were probably assuming he was talking to himself the whole time. And in a way, I guess he kind of is, if we assume that Annie can't actually hear him. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. But we transitioned from that. I think we also go to the final scene, which is, I think it's Eren like looking into a mirror, and we kind of saw this scene within the episode too, where he's like he's just like looking into a mirror, and that's pretty much like it's the present day, back to the present time, and it's not in the flashback. He's just like looking at himself in the mirror, and that's more or less where the episode ends. I forget what he says exactly, but I don't know if it's really important.
It looks like he's in a prison cell.
Oh yeah,
too.
He could be. Yeah. So, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, because
the Survey Corps doesn't trust him anymore.
Yeah, after what happened to Sasha, I mean, I can't really blame them for having a bit more animosity towards Eren after. I mean, and also the fact that Eren took it upon himself to go to Marley and pretty much drag the Survey Corps to get him out of there in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, that was pretty much the episode. It wasn't like a really, it was more of a not really as much of a eventful episode, I guess you would say, as compared to the last one, in terms of just characters dying and there being a lot of action and all that. But it was still really interesting, because it sort of, gave us the information we needed to make sense of what was happening in the present day in the series.
Yeah, it gave us a little bit more clarity of what happened like between the 4 years between seasons 3 and 4. But I really wish we could get a little bit more of that, particularly like the relationship between Sasha and Niccolo, like how their relationship developed. Like even though like Niccolo is a cook, and of course Sasha liked his cooking. I really wish we could have gotten more of that, of like, you know, like how their like, you know, overall relationship developed between him and her family.
Yeah. So what are your expectations based on the preview we got at the end? Because it's hard to tell. Like, it looks like they're more or less going to be following up on what's going on in the present day. I don't know if they're going to go back to the flashback again. But yeah, I'm hoping that we get to see more of like what's going on with Gabby and Falco. Yeah.
In terms of like, they're in the cell right now. I mean, I can expect them to get out later on and try to, you know, find like pretty much like try. I mean, obviously they're on Paradise Island, so like if they were to escape that cell, I mean, there would be no.
Yeah, there's no way they would
wait for them to. Yeah, I mean, like they'd be wandering around, you know, the island by themselves, and you have to wonder, like, you know, I mean, and not to mention like Gabby's like indoctrinated like brainwashing of like her thinking that aliens are evil devils and all that stuff. But I would assume like if she were to get out and like interact with like a lot of the people over there, like maybe she might have some second thoughts. But we'll have to see where that goes from there. There's two things I kind of want them to you know, maybe a confrontation with the Survey Corps and Aaron or something, and as well as maybe like with Gabby and Falco, maybe like some kind of a confrontation between them and you know, Zeke, where they actually ask what, you know, why he did what he did. But I don't really expect that to happen just yet. I feel like they might hold off on that if that does happen, because like Zeke has, as we know, Zeke has some kind of plan, and I'm just really curious as to what it is. Yeah, I still expect Zeke and Aaron to interact with each other.
Yeah, that's something I definitely want to do. Because, yeah, that actually I want that above everything else. Because, like, it seems like, because I really think that would clarify whatever it is Zeke's up to, and you know, like I kind of am interested in how that dynamic's going to play out, like what it would be like if the two of them just interacted.
Yeah, because
like, do you think like Aaron understands Zeke better now, or do you think he's still gonna like resent him for the things he's done, or like? Because I'm kind of
they haven't interacted with each other like as much as they did like back when they saw each other back in the end of season 3. Yeah. I mean, yeah, technically they were next to each other back in the last episode, but I don't really think that they really talked to each other all that much. You know, thinking about it, due to like what happened to Sasha. So I would assume that we'll, like, if they do meet each other again, I'm hoping that we'll get some more clarity and like on their relationship, of like what they think about, like, you know, like pretty much like Zeke's interpretation of like what he's been doing back on Marley, and of course Aaron's life back on Paradise Island. Not to mention that their relationship with their father, Grisha.
That's going to be the most interesting part, is like, because I'm obviously Zeke does not really view Grisha too favorably, so it'd be interesting to see their opinions on that. But
well, the only reason why Grisha threw his parents under the bus is because he was under, like, you know, Marley's indoctrination at the time.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I wonder if he still feels the same way, like, or if he's something different, or. I don't know. There's so many questions in regards to Zeke, so I'm just like, that's what I want to know from the next episode. But yeah, I thought this was a decent episode for sure. I don't really have anything else to say about it. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
I really feel like, you know, this was a decent episode, just pretty much filling in the gaps of what happened during the 4-year time skip. I hope that maybe they might include a little bit more during that time frame, but what I'm really anticipating next of what's going to happen if, like, Aaron and Zeke end up seeing each other again, because I'm interested in to see, like, you know, what they're going to be talking about if they see each other again.
I will say I do know that they interact later on in the manga, and they are going to kind of in a way team up, I guess you would say. So I definitely interested to see how that's going to play out in the anime. But yeah, that's I guess all that being said, until next Sunday, we will see you all next time.